Okay, good evening, everyone. This is First Selectman Ken Kellogg. Today is September 30th. The time is 6 p.m. This is a public informational meeting regarding a proposal by ARX Wireless Infrastructure for the construction of a communications tower, a cell tower, at 345 Fan Hill Road. Sorry, bear with me 1 minute. Everyone's going to be joined in listen-only mode for the time being. So just bear with me. I just need to review some of the parameters of today's meeting and some notices to all the participants. Sorry, this is a little lengthy, but we'll try and get through this as fast as possible. But before we start that, I did want to first confirm the presence of presenters and recognize some of the town officials that are on the line. So first, Keith Coppins from ARX Wireless Infrastructure. Keith, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you want me to introduce my team?
Sure. If you would like to just briefly introduce the individuals from your team, and then I will continue with additional introductions after that. Great.
As Mr. Kellogg said, my name is Keith Coppins. I'm one of the founders of ARX Wireless, located in North Haven, Connecticut. I have with me tonight Doug Roberts, who did all our engineering. He's from AECom. I have David Archambault, who also presented earlier when we first started the project. He did all the visuals and the balloon simulation. And I also see Dan Belzikian on. He's not necessarily with our company, but I know he's with AT&T, so I just thought I'd introduce him as well. And then I have one other ARX Wireless employee. His name is Matt Barnes. He's head of our, he's new to our company, and he's director of finance and operations at our company. So he's just listening in. So that's my team.
All right, thank you, Keith. Our town planner, Rick Schultz.
Present.
Thank you. Attorney Vincent Marino, who is special counsel for the town of Monroe for our land use matters.
Good evening.
Thank you. And Joe Kobza, our acting superintendent of schools, is on.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, I think I covered all of our town officials. So again, let me just bear with me while I go through some information about the meeting. A copy of this meeting and the related materials were posted on the town's website, monroect.org, for public inspection at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting. This meeting is being conducted remotely in compliance with the governor's executive orders, and we are using the GoToMeeting electronic conferencing technology to allow the public to participate in real time via computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone. I do have to provide notice that the meeting technology only allows up to 250 participants at any one time. That is granted solely by the technology provider and is not controlled by the town of Monroe. I do not anticipate we will exceed this participant limit for the meeting, but if we do approach that limit, to ensure that no one is denied access, if that were to occur, we would adjourn the meeting to a later date using technology appropriate to ensure that all members of the public could participate. This meeting is being conducted in real time. It's open to the public. Anyone may listen or view this meeting anonymously. Please be advised and be noticed that this meeting is being recorded. We ask that you mute your microphone unless you're recognized to speak, but please know that anything you say, do, or display on your screen may become part of the recording. The recording will be posted on the town's website within 7 days, and it will be made available to the public upon written request in a reasonable time. Prior to speaking on each occasion, please clearly state your name for the record. The chat feature is prohibited during this meeting. It will not be considered during the meeting. And so that dispenses with our meeting guidelines. So let's kind of move forward, and while we're all here. I know that the topic of a new cell tower would generate questions and concerns, and I wanted to ensure that there was a forum that's a little less formal, where people can simply get information and ask questions, and that is the purpose of today's meeting. I did want to provide a little bit of background prior to turning it over to Mr. Coppins. So I know that he's going to speak about this in more detail, but the background is that there's an existing cellular tower, if you will, a cell on wheels, also known as a COW, C-O-W, that's in front of Fawn Hollow School. It's been there since the immediate aftermath of the Sandy Hook tragedy. I'm told that while it's received a couple of extensions for the Connecticut Siting Council, and again, that's the agency that has jurisdiction and regulatory authority over it, I'm told that the unit does need to be removed. It can't stay there forever. I'm aware that cell coverage in this part of town is poor, especially at that school campus. And the town was approached well over a year ago with the concept of replacing it with a new permanent tower, and to do so on town property. The reason why that piece is important is that putting it on town property does provide the town with some ability to have some input, specifically on location. My understanding is that the tower were to be put on private property, it would be a decision made pretty solely by the Siting Council and really would not be in the purview of the town. I felt that having some input and review by our town boards and commissions is, in my mind, the most important aspect in considering a proposal to use town space. So that said, that's the main driver of, I think, wanting to consider that. However, that said, the town would have some other benefits as well through leasing the land, and I want to acknowledge that. There was a prior iteration where this would go on town property behind the Jockey Hollow Fire and EMS station. When I saw some of the renderings of that, it was extremely close to homes, literally in someone's backyard. And I asked the company to identify different locations that are set back as far from homes as practical. And that kind of got us to where we are today with a location that is kind of in the woods behind the Chalk Hill building. I also asked the company to conduct the balloon test that Mr. Coppins referenced earlier, and he will, I believe, go through that when he presents. As I said, our acting superintendent of schools is on the line. I did speak with him, the Board of Ed chair, and I certainly don't want to speak for them, but I wanted to make sure that they were involved, since I'm aware this is on we're talking about a school campus. They did relay concerns to me that the removal of the cow with the already poor coverage at the schools actually has some security concerns for them. So that was an important aspect in my conversations with them. So again, the purpose for tonight is for Keith and his company to provide information to the community, to answer your questions. This matter still must go before the town council for the ground lease. And that also involves the ability of the town being able to relocate some public safety equipment as well. It is not the driving force of that, but that's another aspect of the lease that the town council would consider. And this does also need to go and receive approval from our Planning and Zoning Commission. And of course, both of those meetings, all those meetings are public and has opportunity for public input. But again, before it goes to those bodies, I wanted them to conduct this meeting to provide information, again, in a less formal setting than a town council meeting or a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. So that said, I am going to stop talking and turn it over to Keith Coppins. And I believe I need to first give you the right to present here, correct, Keith? I don't think you have that yet. So Stan,
Yes, that is correct. You're going to give me control.
Okay, so bear with me. So I got to find you on this list, and give me 1 second. Okay, I believe you're now a presenter, Keith. If you could just check on that.
Yeah, let me just see if it does it.
I can see your screen.
You can see my screen. I'm just wondering, do you have my presentation here?
Right now I see your desktop.
But I'm looking for the presentation. Did you have that up and you were going to share that with me so I could go through that, or should I open that up?
I posted your presentation, Keith, to the public, so I assume you had your.
I do. So let me just open that up and see if you can see that.
Yep.
All right. So everybody can see my screen. So as I said earlier, my name is Keith Coppins. I am the managing director and founder of ARX Wireless. Our home office is as a 110 Washington Avenue in North Haven, Connecticut. And I have been working with the industry for almost 30 years now, most of the time in Connecticut. So so what I wanted to do was just kind of walk you through the presentation, tell you who we are. ARX Wireless, we expressed interest in working with the town back over a year ago. A little bit of background that Mr. Kellogg had stated earlier was AT&T deployed a cell on wheels in 2012, and it's been there ever since. There has been some extensions on that. I was looking for a cell site in the area, and actually have had several conversations with the representatives of AT&T, and we've actually gone through and kind of designed the site for you. So the municipal facility is going to be a 75 by 75 lease area. I think we're only going to have a 50 by 50 fenced in area where not only the town can place antennas, their existing or their new antennas on the tower with a shelter and a generator. Also, we would have area inside the fenced area for the different wireless carriers, including AT&T, but there'd also be space for Verizon, T-Mobile, and the Dish network. There is a fence around a security fence around the leased area. We'd be 8 feet high. We don't use barbed wire, so there's no barbed wire on that. There's a 20-foot wide access utility easement for power, which would come from Fan Hill Road underground to the facility. If the town needed, the existing municipal tower located at the fire department adjacent to the property, we would remove that facility. And also the cow obviously is a cell on wheels that would be removed as well. So as I go through, the following plots show the coverage of the existing coverage from the temporary cow, and then where it is decommissioned, it still leaves a very large hole. And these were all provided by AT&T. We've got the need for the towers is obviously here, and then I basically showed on the next slide is where the existing towers are located in the town of Monroe, a few of which I did several years back under another company name. So as you can see, our site is located just north of the Chalk Hill building. It's about 1,100 feet from the Fawn Hollow Elementary School. The cell on wheels right now, I think, is 130 feet from the school. So when I was speaking, and early on when I was speaking with Mr. Kellogg, we wanted to locate a facility that was basically as far away from the neighbors as we could possibly get, and still get the coverage objective done as well. So that's why we chose the site where we did. We are The next few slides are the site plan, the survey of what we've done, and it shows the location on the property. Shows the tower and the antennas for the town going to be at the top, and then we have space inside the compound, the fence compound. I think during the 824 referral process, when it went to the planning department for review, I think one of the comments was that, you know, they definitely wanted to see it screened. We've already received an FAA certification that the tower does not need to be lit. So we've passed that, and that's what this is. It's a determination of no hazard. So, but as far as that's really our presentation tonight. We're here to answer questions regarding the site. We do have the photo simulation package as well, and I think everybody has seen that. And I think slide number 5, I just want to call that out. That's the existing cell on wheels and with the van. So unless you want me to go through each of the individual slides, I'm not sure that may be necessary, but I'm happy to do it if you think it is.
Well, you know, Keith, just in the in light of the potential that someone may have joined who has not had a chance to pull up your presentation prior, if you could just run through it, and yeah, I can go through it pretty quickly. I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, fine. So as you can see, the photo simulation package, we took that. Mr. Archambault is on the line, and he is the actual one that did all the work on it. So individual questions pertaining to that, I'm gonna defer to him on that, since he actually did the work. But each numbered site is a photograph of where he took photos, and each one is noted as you go to, let's see here. There's the balloon, photo number 1, the balloon behind the school, and there's the depiction of the tower itself. Then we went to site number 2 at 365 Fan Hill Road, and obviously you can see the balloon there, and he'll do the tower. It will be on the next slide. It may take a minute for these simulations to load. There you go. That's photo number 2. Photo number 3 is here, and the balloon is not visible, and that's taken at 375 Fan Hill Road, a portion of 375 Fan Hill Road. Number 4, the balloon is obscured through the trees, somewhere right around here. And we did this in the winter or early spring before the leaves came on the tree. So we have a leaf off condition. So leaves on, you're probably not going to see this particular site. Photo number, let me just go backwards. I think he put a tower into there, and I think you can see it right through here, through this set of trees right here, the fork of the tree. Photo number 5 is here at 364 Fan Hill Road. And next slide will show like I said, sometimes these visuals take a minute to load. So there's you can see the top of that tower right there. 6 is 5 Dogwood Lane. Photo, there's not going to be any visibility from this one. Numbers, just get through 7, is not visible at that 30 Applegate Lane. Photo number 8, 19 Jockey Hollow Road is not visible. Number 9 is obscured, and that's at 121 Wells Road. So that just basically means you're going to see the tower through the trees. Photo number 10 is from 260 Garter Road, and it's not visible from there. Photo number 11 is at 45 Karen Drive. I'm just going to move this over a little bit so I can. And that photo is not visible as well. The balloon is not visible in that. 47 Flint Ridge is you've got visibility on that site because it's up on top of the ridge, and you can see that right above, right around there. But you're only going to see the top part of the tower right there. Bear with me while the screen goes. Photo number 13 is 64 West Maiden Lane, and it's not visible from that location. '14 is 183 Jockey Hollow Road, and it's not visible from that location. 71, photo number 15 is 71 Wells Road, shows no visibility for the site from that location as well. And 16 is 515 Fan Hill Road, and again that one is not that's not visible as well. I think we get photo number 18 from 460 Pepper Street, and that again is the balloon is not visible from this location. 237 Fan Hill Road, again the site is not visible from here. Okay, 52 Field Rock Road, site's not visible from there. And 3 Wells Road, again, we don't have any visibility as well from the site. I think Mr. Archambault did a really good job taking a lot of photos around the area. We typically only see maybe 4 or 5 photos. I asked him to do a little bit more for us on this one, just because we wanted to make sure that portions of the neighborhood were taken, and we wanted to see a clear rendering of what it would look like from different spots, different areas around the town. So that's the photo simulation, and I appreciate Mr. Archambault doing that for us and allowing you guys to see it. So unless there's questions, I mean, we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Coppins, for the presentation. And again, the purpose of this meeting is obviously to share that information, but also to answer any questions that the individuals may have for you and your team in regards to your proposal. So with that, I am going to open up the lines. Obviously, we got a bunch of people on the call, so please be, let's try and do this so we're not all speaking over each other. So we'll let one person speak at a time, and I will kind of unmute now. And I guess I will first ask who would like to ask a question, and once I kind of isolate one person, we'll go one at a time, and please indicate now if you'd like to ask a question to Mr. Coppins and his team.
Hi, this is Rachel Cook Northway.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi,
So
Karen.
go ahead. Rachel, you're up first. Just please also give your name and your address for the record as well.
I live on Fan Hill Road. I have to give my address. 44 Fan Hill Road.
Great. Go right ahead.
Yeah, my question is, will there be a third party testing the tower? You know, I'm not concerned about what it looks like, as I've shared with you all, with you and Keith. I'm more concerned about radiation or anything emitting from this tower. Is there a third party coming in to test it, and will that be regularly done and kept on file?
So, hi, Rachel. I think when we spoke, I think I wanted to make sure that not just you, but everybody on in town would have that on file. There is a company that does that type of work, and I'd be happy to hire them directly to do the what we call a power density calculation, and we could set up. The only time it really changes is if there is a new carrier coming on. So initially with say the town and AT&T, we would have a power density calculation on file at the town. And when someone new came on, I would make sure that the new power density calculation showing the emissions would be not only it will absolutely comply with all the FCC standards that we would have, that we're required to do.
Okay, and then also for the Board of Education, for any of us who are uncomfortable sending our children to Fawn Hollow, will concessions be made for those of us who maybe want to go to Monroe Elementary instead?
Kind of caught me off guard with that one, Rachel. Thanks for the question. I think we'd really have to look at it on an individual basis. I don't know if, we'd have to check with grades and class sizes. Fortunately, Monroe Elementary is one elementary school that does have some capacity in some grades. In some grades, it does not. So we'd really have to check that on a case-by-case basis. We actually did put out, completely irrelevant to this, and I think I would rely on the experts first to see if this is if this was a danger. But we put out feelers last year, I believe, if folks wanted to move from the Fawn Hollow district to Monroe in particular grades, because there was space there. So we'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Anyone else who would like to ask a question?
Yeah, this is John Collins.
Okay, John Collins, I believe I heard you speak up. Please just give your address for the record as well and go right ahead.
Sure, it's 55 Chalk Hill Road.
Hey guys, can you keep your voices down?
So a couple of questions. One, what necessitates going from a van to a 170-foot tower? And secondly, what other locations were explored?
So we started off with the town because the cow was there. AT&T is actually looking for a permanent site, and for the permanent site, they wanted to get the necessary coverage so that it would overlap with their other coverages. And also, we've talked to the town as well about their emergency services system. So to build a tower to a size that we need, I wanted to make sure that we had size enough and the capacity enough to allow for co-location, which is really the purpose of building sites in Connecticut and specifically everywhere.
And what other sites were explored?
I haven't explored any other sites other than the town's properties because we were working with the town directly. we kind of wanted to make sure that it stayed on town property so that the town could benefit from the lease, from possible relocation of their equipment. And also, you know, a lot of times we'll work with the town in a way that it does, some of the stuff doesn't have to go into the town budget as far as their equipment would go on the tower.
How does
That's a proposal
how does the
this
height
point.
of the tower compare to surrounding towns?
I'm sorry.
If I could just
How
interject
does
real quickly, excuse me, Mr. Collins. For everyone other than Mr. Collins and Coppins, if you'd please mute yourself. There's background noise from other callers. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Collins.
Thank you. You know, at 170 feet, I guess I'm interested in understanding how it compares with the surrounding towns. Do other towns around in this area have towers of that size?
We did do one in we did two in Trumbull. One's at the police station. I think that one's only 100. I think that's 130 feet. And again, that was just because of what was needed by the carriers and the town. And then we did one at the end of Jeffrey Place, and I think that's 160 feet, where town's at the top, Verizon's underneath that. And we just finished one in Naugatuck, Connecticut, and that's 180 feet, where the town's at the top, and that's actually behind the school as well.
Okay. And just one final question: has anyone in the town actually validated the pictures? Because I can tell you that the picture on Chalk Hill Road was not taken at the address that's in the report. So I guess my question for the town: has anybody actually gone out and checked the pictures and the locations to make sure that the report is accurate?
Can I answer that?
Please.
David Archambault. Can you
Go ahead,
guys-
Mr. Archambault.
Okay. If you look at, and Keith, if you could scroll down to the beginning of our report, the second page, which has a map of the photo locations. The addresses that we put on there are geolocated, much like 911 would. If you were to call on your cell phone 911, your cell phone takes a latitude and longitude and geolocates the nearest address. So an address for a property, let's just say, is a 5-acre property. You could be across the street from it, and it would take the address from across the street, or you could be at the corner of the property, closer to the property, and it takes the address for that property, even if that property is technically on the next street over. So some of the addresses will occasionally not be exactly right, but the location of the dots that are on this map here will show you the actual location of it, of the where it was taken. And then if you go to an actual photo, it will have the GPS location taken from where the photo was taken. So again, sometimes the addresses will seem off, but it's those addresses are taken the same way 911 systems take addresses.
I could comment, if you took the picture from the view directly across the street, or from 58 Chalk Hill Road or 62 Chalk Hill Road, you present a totally different view as to whether it's obscured or not, because it will not be.
So,
Thank you.
Okay.
I think what Mr. Archambault is stating is that each one of these photos shown, the coordinates where he took the photos were the coordinates are very accurate. The actual address may not be.
That is correct. It's just the way the geolocating of the address is taken, but the latitude and longitude are taken with onboard camera data that is as accurate as any GPS that you would buy on the market today, which again can be off by 25 to 30 feet if there aren't many satellites available, but the GPS locations are fairly accurate where the pictures were taken.
Okay. Well, we will certainly take that under consideration. Thank you. Anyone else who would like to ask a question of Mr. Coppins or his team?
And Nicole Baru from 46 Jockey Hollow.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, I was wondering why it was decided, when that's about a 70+ acre parcel of land, to place it at a part that's near the school, near the hiking trails, near the soccer fields, when the other side of the property, according to the topographical map, is higher and it's near a transfer station and a shooting range that's used only occasionally. It just seems like an odd choice. And I was wondering why, how you came to put it to the decision to put it in a place where on 70 acres of land is probably the most populated part of it.
When you're asking me where we could put it, I know that we, Mr. Kellogg and I, and actually even Mr. Schultz was involved with some of the placement, and we wanted to do a few things. We wanted to keep it as far away from the residents as we possibly could. So going further in, we get to a different area with closer to residences. We wanted to keep them away from the trails that were in there, and also there are the initial spot that we wanted to go was further in, but we were right in the middle of a bunch of wetlands, so we moved it out of the wetlands, out of the wetland buffer, so that we wouldn't intrude on any issues with the wetlands. So the reason that we placed it where we did, it wasn't just let's just put it here type of thing. We did think about it. Mr. Roberts and I have gone back and forth on numerous occasions, making sure that we got it in the right spot that would be the least impact to the things that I just spoke of, and obviously not have any impact on any of the hiking trails back there. And then actually, Mr. Kellogg had actually asked me to do the same thing.
I mean, it's literally right next to I was back there. I saw where all the markings are. It doesn't necessarily disrupt the trails, but I mean, it's literally within feet of it. It just seems an odd choice to me. And again, this is my own observation, given that there's a whole lot of land across from a transfer station and a shooting range where there's no trails. That part of that property is more or less unused. It's not hikeable. It's not passable. It's really just an observation to me that it just seemed an odd choice to put it there.
Okay, I appreciate that. Like I said, I guess we could take a look a little bit more on it, but I guess my question would be,
yeah, I'm sure you have your
looking in how. No, that I don't. I honestly, with the reason that we put it here was not just just, hey, let's put it right here. I get the fact that it's a larger piece of property. Again, our idea was to keep it as far away from the residences as possible. knowing that the school wasn't ever going to be used. It wasn't probably going to be an issue there. And I know that when we initially started, and I'll say it again, is we placed it right in the middle of wetlands. And that was when I had my wetland scientist go out. He goes, "Hey, we need to move this thing." So that's when we started moving it, and that's when we put together plans and sent them over to the town for review. And again, I don't have any other reason why we wouldn't put it way on something else. If the town owned or didn't own the property, I'm not sure exactly where, but putting it further back has a different impact. And again, I found out the hard way, and that was with the wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. And I'll just reiterate that, my conversation with Mr. Coppins was to find a location that would be least impactful and achieve the coverage that is needed in the neighborhood. And I'm certainly, as I've always been in the beginning, that's my overarching concern. So I trust that they identified a location based upon that criteria. But I appreciate your comments, Nicole. Okay, anyone else who wishes to ask a question of Keith?
Michelle Perry.
Go ahead, Michelle. Please give your address for the record as well, and go right ahead.
My address is 2 Fairley Drive in Monroe. So I have a couple of questions, and it is related to safety and environmental impact. I'm wondering, when will the environmental impact study be done? Because it is in an area where there are children and animals and all that. And what is the effective radiated power planned? And how can we as a town cap that at whatever an acceptable level is? Oh, also, is this tower going to be used for cell phone or internet usage?
Okay, I can answer most of that, I think. So let's go one by one. So I can make sure your questions are there. The environmental study, which is the NEPA process that we're going through,
Right.
It is in the process right now on this particular spot. Because of COVID, the State Historic Preservation Office has not given our SHPO letter out yet, but we don't see any issues with that. Where the location is right now, we're going to go underground with utilities, and some of our conduits go through a little wetland buffer, a small portion. And our wetland scientist right now is working with the inland wetlands department and they think they know the impact isn't that great, so they're doing that administratively. We did do a phase 2 out there, which is not back yet, but we anticipate coming in the next 2 weeks or so. So again, a lot of the environmental work, as you say, all this is required for us to build a tower site and be in accordance with the FCC, in compliance with the FCC. So that's being done. Question number 2, and help me if I'm missing them. Is this a cell tower or this is or an internet tower? I think sometimes they go hand in hand now because of the smartphones. But it's a tower that's going to be used by some of the cell carriers. It's also going to be available to the town for their emergency services use, and obviously E911 with the AT&T will obviously have that in their system as well. So that obviously there is we can get internet now mobily. So I guess it would be used as part of the internet as well.
Okay.
So you'll be able to stream and stuff. The signal is going to be strong enough there that you're going to be able to stream, as we all stream everywhere. So I know right now, a lot of the other carriers have terrible service out there, and I know that from experience because I've driven the area. And your third question, if you could repeat your third question, and I can answer that one.
Oh, well, before I repeat that, I was just wondering, is that for 4G or 5G?
The systems are, pretty. All the carriers are doing now. They're doing their different systems, and I'm sure 5G is going to be part of this system as well.
Okay. So that goes to my next question then. What is the effective radiated power planned, and how can we cap that so that the town can keep it at an acceptable level?
So if you heard earlier Rachel's question, that was one of her questions, and that's the answer that I'll give again is,
oh, sorry,
we'd be happy to do an independent report of the emissions that will be coming off the tower, and that will always be in the town's offices, and it only changes when a new party goes on it and has another emission. So we would have to have a new one done, and then that one would be replaced, and that can be seen at any point in time in the town hall.
Right. So I understand that, but that's sort of an after the fact situation. Is there a way to know what the radiation is going to be before it's installed? Because that's pretty important.
Well, you're talking about radiation. That's not what it is. It's actually emissions coming from the site.
Right.
So
that's what the effective radiated power. Right. So because there's going to be a planned amount.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And if I can get I can provide that before the tower even goes in. Absolutely. Once I know what the town's plan is to put their stuff up and what what AT&T's are, we can get that done, and we can provide that to the town immediately.
Yes, because that's something that's important prior to approval. All right. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
Okay, thank you. Next person who'd like to participate. Anyone else who has a question for Mr. Coppins or his team?
I just have one more. This is Rachel, Cook Northway again. I just have one more question. Like, if we want to stop this from happening, what are the next steps? And I understand that if we don't approve it, the town, then it'll go to a private property. But, do we need this tower? We already have 4 or 5 already in town. I understand that you want the schools to have service, absolutely. But I'm so uncomfortable with this being so close to children. I have, 1 kid and 1 on the way, and the plan is for them to go to Fawn Hollow. So, how can we stop this? I'm losing sleep at night over it. It's serious.
The process that we would, if we keep it on town property, obviously the town has some, and it's used for the town's use and the town of Monroe's use for that. Obviously that's the idea that we were going with. The town has a lot of say in it. If the town decided not to do it and we go to a private property, the town loses a voting right, really. This is what it is, because that automatically goes to the siting council for approval.
Okay, but what about, like, can we just say, look, we're not doing this in our town, like, no more towers? Where is the opportunity for that discussion?
Perhaps Attorney Marino could speak to that.
Yes. So to address the issue, so right now, to answer your question, ma'am, the town has the decision and absolutely could reject the proposed tower location. That is well within the rights of the town council. And if it does that, it's, I think, a balancing of the pros and the cons. And it is what will likely happen. Well, if AT&T has stated a specific need to locate a tower in this area, then it will begin a search of an alternate site to accommodate its needs. That may be on an adjoining property. It may be a mile down the road. I don't know. But at this moment in time, the town has the opportunity to control the location of the subject tower and to receive benefit as a result of that cooperative work with the tower developer. It can benefit its emergency services system. It can receive non-tax revenue as a result of the tower being on town property. If the town rejects this location, and again, it still can, and I'll explain what you might do going forward. But the next step would be for the tower developer to locate an alternative site, enter into a lease agreement with that private property owner, and then file an application with the Connecticut Siting Council. The Connecticut Siting Council is actually statutorily obligated to approve the tower once it finds that there's a need for it. And that hurdle is not terribly difficult. And by statute, these health concerns, as long as the emissions are within the FCC guidelines, there's no basis for objection based upon health concerns. And so assuming the town were to reject and assuming there was an application pending before the Siting Council, yourself and the town would be particularly challenged to do anything to object to that location. And what you would lose, and again, this is a question of perspective. I don't want to say what you would lose because you would also be gaining the fact that you wouldn't have a tower at this location. But what you would be losing is hundreds of thousands of dollars in emergency radio equipment that the town would be benefiting from through this agreement. A tower within its jurisdiction that it can control its location to minimize the impacts to as many residential neighborhoods as possible, and to generate non-tax revenue, which it would not realize if this were being located on a private property. So what you could do, the process going forward, this is a public meeting just for people to come out and get information. The town council will have to consider whether or not to approve the lease. That would be an opportunity for you to have your voice be heard, and you can argue to the town council why it should not approve the lease. If that lease were to be approved, it would go for a site plan before the zoning commission, and you could address concerns and potential screening issues at that point. So there are opportunities that you could have to avail yourself of further letting your voice be heard, and it would be at the town council or at the zoning commission.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to say, I presently represent 9 communities, and this is a difficult issue that every community faces. The need for the location of towers within the various towns is obvious. Where they end up is always the concern. In my experience, communities are best served when they have more management and control over the location of towers, because while there may be some impact to this one location, generally on municipal land, the impact is substantially less than impacts when it's in the on private property. That's not a universal statement, so it can be proven wrong, I'm certain, in many instances. But I have found in my experience that towns and constituents of those towns fare substantially better when the tower is located on public property.
Thank you. And I can see the benefit of that. I guess, if it's going to be on the 77, acre plot, I know we touched on this before, but if there's any way to get it further away from the children, around that bin on Fan Hill where it's like almost like a dump or transfer station, closer. I mean, I know someone had touched on that before, closer to that. That way it still stays on town property, but not literally right in the backyard of the schools would be helpful.
We appreciate that comment.
Thank you, Vin. Thank you, Rachel. And again, as I said earlier to Keith, I'm open to any of those conversations, as we said earlier. So, okay, anyone else who has a question for?
I'm Nicole Baru from 46 Jockey Hollow. I do have one other question. I'm not sure whether it's for ARCS or for the town, but was the parcel at 116 Garter Road considered as a location? That's a 12-acre parcel with absolutely nothing on it, not even any trails or anything. That's just been sitting there for the 25 years I've lived in Monroe. That's something where, perhaps you could put it smack dab in the middle of that and you have 6 acres on, or most of the sides. I didn't know if that was something that was thought about or considered or could possibly be on the table.
I'd have to defer to Keith in terms of their location evaluations.
I would have to take a look at it to see what impacts it would have, if it works for the carriers, if it works for the town emergency services.
Because that parcel actually abuts the Lane's Mine, the 77-acre parcel. I feel like it's something everyone forgets about because there are no trails and it's really not used. So that's 116 Garter Road.
Garder?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, I'm going to ask one last time, kind of a last call. I don't want to end the meeting and leave a question unsaid. So last call, anyone with a question for Mr. Coppins or his team on their proposal? Okay, hearing none, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and participating. As we said earlier, this was, again, just an informational meeting, and as this continues to move through the process, the public meetings will obviously be noticed, and people will have additional opportunities to weigh in as the process moves forward. I think Mr. Coppins has some follow-ups regarding some of the reports that he committed to provide, and I think perhaps he's also committed to looking to see if other locations may be, I don't know what the right term is, other locations that perhaps may not have been done a complete evaluation. We want to make sure that they work. I guess that's the best way to state that. Is that correct, Mr. Coppins?
Yes, I can take a look at those.
Excellent. Okay, well, that said, again, I'm going to close the meeting at this point. Again, thank you everyone for your time, and we appreciate it.